Good day, Nigerians. I'm your host, Ms. Eguese Eyemi Edesiri. Welcome to the first series of Ede Reality Talk Show, where we give tips, advice, and discuss things happening in our world at large. Today, we are discussing a very interesting topic titled The Educational Sector in Nigeria. Today, we are talking about our youths, which are said to be the leaders of tomorrow. Most of them lack proper education, so we are trashing out some issues which are really alarming in the educational system. Instances of recent happening has brought to limelight the poor system of education in the country. Here in the house today, we have two guests, Mr. Kefeye, who is an administrator, and Mrs. MT Irakparo, who is the principal of one of the schools in the Ethel West local government areas. So today I will start by asking the question, Mr. Kefe, what is education?
Thank you very much. Education is the act of impacting knowledge. It could be in a formal means, in a well-structured environment like a classroom, and then the students are certified at the end of their training, or it could be informal, maybe from the home trainings and all of that. So even before the advent of the colonial masters, Africa has had its way of educating its own. So the school system is just a plus. And in ratings of societies generally in the world, one of the major criteria used in looking at developed countries today is the standard of their education. If they have a good standard of education, it will show in their lives and in their level of productivity. So education is key to any society.
Talk about this formal and informal education. Which aspect does the children learn faster from?
Well, formal and informal education, it depends really on the teaching methods and the approach generally. A child can learn even more while the parents help him or her, even with the schoolwork, than when the teacher in the school, in a well-structured environment, teaches that child. So it depends on approach. Every child is unique in their learning patterns and abilities. Everybody is unique in the way they learn. Some people learn faster through digital means. Some learn faster using analog.
What are the causes of the poor state of education in the country?
I would say one, on the part of the government, poor funding and management. The funding, government is trying, but along the line, the implementation, when they vote money for education, the money does not go the way it ought to go because of what? Corruption. The money might be given to the sector, now coming to the grassroots for them to implement what the money is meant for, it's not done. So you see poor infrastructures in school, no building, nothing to talk about. The students, maybe they don't have restrooms, they don't have good classrooms. Like some schools during rainy season, they don't go to school. And we have a government on ground who spends money on education, and all these problems are there. Then the management part of it, the Ministry of Education, they are in charge of inspecting the work done in the field. When they come, they expect envelopes. Where will that money come from? Instead of going into what they are there for, if the teachers, the principals, the headmaster can say, they are here, just bring that envelope, they are okay. So little is done in terms of the management. So you see that the sector is not moving or going the way it should go in order to create development for the society.
Okay, so Mommy, like you said, the schools are not properly structured due to probably the roofs off and all that. So do you think it's advisable for the government to allocate funds yearly, or when we say each term? They have 3 terms in a year. So do you think it's advisable for the government to allocate funds to them to do renovation of buildings and all that yearly?
To who?
To the schools, to each schools, to do renovations.
Government does that too. But they do it through award of contracts. They award it to individuals or some, companies, they say. When they come to the field, at times the principals, the headmasters are not part and parcel of what is happening. They do sort of their constructions are not adequate. They use inferior materials to do this thing because the principal, the HM on ground, is not the one checking them, checkmating them. So they have who have given them the contract, who has awarded the contract to them. So they've shared their money in terms of kickback, kick this, kick that. So when they come, whatever they do on ground, the principal or the headmaster has little to say about it.
Okay, so in that aspect, what is your advice to the government about that aspect of location of funds?
They should give these contracts to people that can carry out, or companies that can carry out this project adequately. And when they come to inspect the project, they should come not expecting envelopes.
Okay.
And keep quiet when they see shabby jobs being done.
So, Mr. Kefi, what do you think to this problem now at hand? What do you think is the possible solution out of it?
Well, the poor standard of education, yes?
Yeah.
Well, I think number one is research. Government has to fund research. I'll give you an example. In this age that is so technologically advanced, where people use computers, phones, tabs, and all of that, and you still teach children using chalk and blackboard, the passion to learn won't be there. If that same topic is projected through a projector and a screen and lots of animations to describe what the teacher is saying, pictures, whatever, it will sink faster. So they need to research on better learning methods. That's one. I think funding, like she has said, cannot be ruled out. You need to fund these educational systems adequately. Proper staffing, training and retraining of the teachers. Sometimes you sponsor these teachers to different places, different conferences in different parts of the world. If they get that kind of exposure, tell me the kind of students they will bring out. They will bring out amazing students because they are learning new ways of doing things. Thank you.
Do you think the system of education now in Nigeria, is it the best for the world out there, the children out there? Is it the best for them?
Well, thank you. I think that some minor restructuring needs to be done. First and foremost, I think we run the 6334 system, which of course is good, but there are also some inadequacies. I think that our education should have a bit of technical vocational studies and theoretical studies, because we've come to see over time that there are some students who are technically sound, they are good, they are talented, they could do a lot of things with the talents and skills they have, but they are forced to sit in the classroom because they must go to school, okay, and learn something that doesn't really align. For me, I would recommend that our level of education should be okay from so level to maybe primary 6 or JS3 is basic education. Everybody go and learn theory. Then as you move ahead, you can either decide to continue or learn. So we should establish more vocational schools to improve our education. There are people who can do a lot of crafts. Some people can make shoes in Nigeria. If you see those shoes, you think that they were brought from Italy. Igbo guys, some of them are very ingenious. They can do a lot of amazing stuff. But most of these guys can't even do the schoolwork, and they are graded as dullards. But really, they have skills. Just a little education for them to be able to excel in those skills will make them stand out.
Okay, thank you, sir, for that. Then, mommy, with the level of education now do we have in Nigeria? Like many of the upcoming children, they don't even know what is history in Nigeria. Some certain parts of history of Nigeria, they don't even know a bit of it. So do you think the government should bring back those old subjects they've been teaching and abandon these new ones they are bringing?
Thank you. Yes, government should do that, and they are already doing it. Like history you mentioned,
Okay.
that I was taken out, it's been brought back. Then again, some other subjects that they've restructured, they are restructuring them again. Let me come back to what Kefi said about this 633 system of education, 6334 system of education. If the implementation was done the way it's supposed to be done, this country, the sky would have been our limit. Like the structure is this: primary 6 to JS3, normal teaching, reading and writing. From that point, before you enter your senior secondary school, you are now asked, or they will not, through your performance, they know whether you are falling into vocational or the academic stream. But the vocational part, government didn't implement it. So because one, you need the machines. You need machines in all schools, not in some schools as they do. In Trotech, it's supposed to be taught in JS to 1 to 3. That one will make you know a child that is inclined technically and the one that will follow the academic path. But these are not in the schools. So because of that, you see failure on the part of government at the point of implementation or at the stages of implementation, so that this system will work fine. So I will advise the government to go back to what brought in this system and again look into what should be done, what should be corrected, so that this system can be followed adequately.
Thank you, ma, for that. Then, Mom, I'm going to ask this question: is education really an adversity?
No,
It's not. Why do you say that education is not really an adversity?
what do you mean by adversity? Education is not adversity. It's not a problem now.
Okay, because many of the parents now are always complaining of funding for the children to go to school, because the government are bringing a lot of fees for them to pay in during their WAEC enrollment, their JS3 enrollment, their primary 6 enrollment. So many of all these parents now, they feel reluctant to train the children to school.
That one will be due to the poverty level of these parents, because while we still have the government schools, you have many public school, private schools that are springing up daily, and it is the same parents that takes their children to the private schools and they pay heavily there. Why is it that when it comes to government school, they are reluctant to pay any small fee they are asked to pay? So it's the fault of the parents. They see everything as free from government, and me, I'm not in support of free education. Nothing should be free. They should pay at least a token for whatever they are getting in terms of education.
Okay, so how can they all, like those in the, so there's some of people, they even have the ability to provide a square meal. So how can we provide equal education for everybody in the country?
There's no way equal education will be provided for everyone, because the families, they have their own status. If I can afford my child going to Igbenedion, what my child will get from that school is not the same as a child going to a public school in the village. So when you talk of equal education, it's not possible, it's not feasible in this country. But all I have to say, I want to advise parents. Now government has these public schools. Send your child there. Make sure the child goes to school every day. Then again, provide the small textbook, the notebooks for the child, because ABC is ABC at Igbenedion school and in the school in the village. The content, the curriculum is the same, and you have the teachers there to teach them. So it's left for us, teachers and parents, to be dedicated to do our work as it ought to be done, so that the children will get the best from us at any level. Okay. Because once a child is educated. Once you've known something, you've known something. Thank you.
Okay, so now we're going to a commercial break for now, so stay tuned and remain blessed. Friday talk show. We still have our guests in the house, Mr. Kefi and our principal, Mrs. Irakoro. So, sir, I will start by asking you, how can the less privileged have quality education?
Wow, thank you very much. There are various schemes in the country that can be employed towards getting the less privileged to get good education. For instance, if they are very intelligent children, they can put in for some scholarship schemes. I have heard of success stories of many people who, came from a very poor home, poor background, but were able to even school abroad or a master's program, PhD program, because they had scholarships, government sponsored, private organizations, and all of that. So if you come from a less privileged home, it shouldn't really be a hindrance to you going forward. Rather, you should read and study hard so that opportunities like that you can access them. Thank you.
Okay, so mommy, what do you have to contribute to this aspect?
The government should come up with scholarships for these children, because most of them or some of them are highly intelligent students. When these scholarship schemes come, they could be fortunate to win it, then they've had their way. Then NGOs, individuals should come out with schemes like that to sponsor these less privileged children. Even the churches pick up these children, because their parental background cannot help them. They cannot move forward, and we won't want them to just go down the drain because they are intelligent children. So this is my take on this, that the government, NGOs, churches, organizations should come up with scholarship schemes to help the less privileged. Thank you.
Okay. So, Mr. Kefi, like some of the children are not aware of those scholarships, because the politicians at the top, they do get, when they bring out the scholarship out, they do bring their own person from whatever they want to bring it from to put there. So how can those who are at the grassroots level, who are not even aware, how can they create the awareness for the students to have the scholarship?
Thank you. This again is a function of failing systems that we have in the country. Okay, things like this, I've been a beneficiary of a scholarship at my secondary school level, for instance. An exam was conducted. It was done purely based on merit. When you pass, you see your scores. There are no two ways about it. As soon as you finish from the exam hall, you wait, they mark it. You see your scores, you see your script if you want to. And then the numbers that they require are taken. But a lot of underhand dealings are done these days. These are the things that we should discourage as a society if we must move forward. And all of this is taking its own toll on our educational system.
That's true.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, sir, for that. Mr. Irakoro, how can we improve human resources through education?
How can we improve human resources through education? Human resources here, we are talking of the teachers, the lecturers. Now let's come to the primary, secondary school level. The teachers should be given training, retraining, sent to other places, even other countries, so that the new system, the new methods, the new techniques of teaching to be taught to them. Because at the time they were in school, those techniques, those methodologies must have been outdated. They need the new techniques. And how can they now get the new techniques? Is by training and retraining of teachers, so that the resources in terms of personnel will be developed.
So, Mr. Kefi, what's your view to this question?
Well, like I said earlier on, human resource development is very key in the educational system of any country. As a matter of fact, the educational system of a country is measured by the quality of the human resource those systems produce for the society. Okay, so if you develop education and make it work better, then we'll produce better graduates, better students that will be able to fit into the work environment. For instance, most Nigerians who graduate from the university here and go outside the country to look for jobs, along their line of profession, typically they have to go through a training course or an exam for them to be allowed to fit in to those new systems. But when they are coming from those developed countries to Nigeria, they just fit into our systems, and we treat them as expatriates because it's believed that they have a higher level of educational standards. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. So, sir, how can we fight indiscipline, examination malpractice, and secret courtesy in the schools?
This is a very critical one. Indiscipline is a function of everybody, the whole society, the parents, the teachers had to be able to fight indiscipline. If you're walking along the road and you see children behaving the way they shouldn't, in years back, people wouldn't say this is not my child, so I wouldn't say anything. People would do a lot to correct such children. And I think a lot of people still do that these days, but it's just that people are very careful now because of the world that we live in. So the parents have a role to play, the teachers have a role to play, and most times when we discipline our words, we should let them understand why we're disciplining them, so they don't grow up with the idea that we just derive pleasure in punishing them. We should let them understand. And then for cultism and examination malpractice, for instance, the teachers have a critical role to play. I've heard of stories of teachers coercing students to bring money, to pay money for examination malpractice. This is unheard of. This is a terrible one. Now, if the teachers that the students are supposed to look up to for respect, as mentors and all of that, are the ones asking them bring money, then that tells you where we are in terms of our educational system. So the teachers need to play a vital role. Heads of school administrations need to play a vital role. I understand that some schools, they indulge in examination malpractice to get their students to do well. But this waters down the quality of graduates that we produce in the society.
Thank you, sir. So, mommy, what is your view to this question in terms of the secondary school aspects?
The teachers are involved in this examination malpractice, and because of that, some of them don't even teach their subjects because they have it in mind that during the exam the student will be told what to do. So that should be discouraged, and the teachers should face real corporal punishment from the government. Then on part of these parents, they should have it in mind that they went to school without being involved in exam malpractice. So their child too should go to school without being involved in exam malpractice. They too should discourage that because they give these children money to go and pay. Then on part of the government, these exam bodies, some of their supervisors they send, they come there with the mind that as I go there they will give me money. Where will these teachers get the money to give to you? That is the height of corruption. They should desist from that. They should see that the function, the reason why they are sent to these exam centers is for them to see that the exam is well conducted, the children rise on their own, and he who merits pass should pass. But they come there and do the contrary. This should be discouraged. Then those sent by ministry to come and supervise and monitor the exam, the same thing. They've not reached there, they are asking for envelope. So they are the ones encouraging these teachers to go into exam malpractice. Because many parents say the teachers, fine, yes, teachers have their own blame. But from the top, everybody should have a change of heart, a change of mind towards this exam malpractice, so that be erased from the system in general. I remember when Commissioner Veronica Ogwagu was commissioner, she was able to deal with exam malpractice, and it came to a very infinitesimal level.
Yeah.
Because she took a decision. All former supervisors should be dropped. Principals, CIEs, go to schools. Pick people with integrity. So I was surprised that somebody came, madam, you go for supervision. I said, I don't do supervision because he said that is the instruction from the commissioner. We should pick people, not people going to apply and pay money so that they will be given. So if all this will be brought to play, you see that thing will be reduced. And if anybody is found wanting, that person should be given the punishment that one deserves.
Okay, thank you very much, ma. So, ma, how can teachers help students discover their passion?
You know, that's the reason why we have counselors in schools. That is the job of the counselors. You meet the students on one-on-one, interact with them, know their talents, then you'll be able to advise them where to fall to in terms of their line of discipline. Then on the part of the teachers, don't be too harsh with your students. Make friends with them, befriend them, gist with them. Like that, you'll be bringing them closer to you. Then again, this 6334 system, had it well, is the implementation, both on the part of government, teachers, and all. In those days when you prepare results, you have the cognitive, the affective, and all. But now, all those ones are not being taken care of. Just write exam, just mark over 100, you award, over 20, you award. Studying the child to know really assessing the child in all these domains, cognitive, affective, and the rest. It's no longer up to me. But I pray one day a commissioner or at the federal level minister will bring them into play again. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, ma'am. Mr. Kefe, so what is your advice to the government, teachers, and students in enhancing education?
Well, like she has said, a lot needs to be done. If I start with the teachers should be able to understand the trend. Okay, what I mean the trend, the teachers should aspire to teach the students, bringing examples that relate to their everyday living. That would drive home the point that they are trying to teach the children. The government needs to do a lot of funding and money, not just releasing funds, monitor the funding to be sure that it goes for the purpose for which yes, they should have like a feedback mechanism direct from the school head, no middleman in between. Has this been done? Yes or no? Has this been implemented? Yes or no? So once that is done, then I believe that most of the school heads will be honest enough to say things as they are, because it's their school and they will benefit from whatever infrastructure that is being built. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, sir. So, ma'am, what's your advice for the government, teachers, and also the students in enhancing education?
The government should fund the sector well and monitor the funding. Also, in terms of inspecting these schools, the inspectors should go there and inspect what they are there to inspect, not seeking for envelope. The teachers, we are employed to teach, so teach, be a dedicated teacher. Students, we are here to learn. Come with the mindset of I'm here to learn and not any other thing. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, ma'am.
Welcome.
And sir, I'm indeed really honored having you guys in the house today. In conclusion, the government has their role to play, the school has their role to play, and the parents also have their role to play. So these three bodies should all put their hands on deck to make sure that the education comes out well in Nigeria, and make sure the children comes out with good grades at school, most especially to the teachers. Go through the students, communicate with them properly for them to always come out and speak well whenever they find themselves in the country. Thank you, and always stay blessed.